the first meeting is the notice of public hearing, the Board of Trustees. Meeting agenda Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, and this is the proposed fiscal year budget 2023-2024 operating and capital budget. I think we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance now, and that'll be the last time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Take roll call. Karen Nolte.
Here.
Karen Sekenga.
Yes.
Laura Sanders.
Yes.
Michelle Stambolelli.
Present.
Mayor Smet.
Here.
Lonnie Scott.
Here.
And myself, Diane Ratkovich, present. Did I call you? And Michelle Stambolelli. Did I call you?
Present, yeah.
Sorry.
You're fine.
And this is the first call for public comment. Does anyone have any public comment related to the budget? Okay. Seeing no public comment?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lois.
Lois, you got to turn your mic on.
It's hidden. I brought the wrong water bottle. It's like
Oh, no.
flat on the bottom.
I had the pleasure of coming to the meeting on Sunday and met Trustee Nolte and Trustee Scott, and we had a nice conversation, and I did present my concepts, things that are favorite to me. But one of the things I just wanted to bring before the whole board is the new election process that we will have, and we just had a little discussion about that. And when you talk about the budget, we don't know who's paying what, but we got to think of a lot more money going into it. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Anyone else? Okay, the next item is approval of the agenda for the public hearing. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Oh, go ahead.
I apologize, Supervisor. Can I make a motion
No,
to?
we're on the public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'll
Someone like to
second the motion.
Thanks.
To approve the.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So, are ready to take a vote. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget? We have a motion and a second, and then it's open for discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 budget.
Second.
Any discussion that people have?
Did we make the corrections?
There, yes.
Okay.
In the other things, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and the corrections from our workshop meeting were made, correct, yeah.
So, David, did you make the corrections? I mean, can we go through the corrections real quick, just to make sure that we got them all in there? Or is that?
I have a list of the correct, yeah, if you have the list of the.
If we don't have it, that's okay. We can do it later, and we can amend it if we can amend it
Yeah,
if
we
something
can
got
amend
missed.
I have it in my office if you want me to grab it.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, I have my copy too.
Do you have all the changes on it?
I think I got most of them.
You have questions? You want to start?
No, I was just saying I
Oh.
have my copy as well with,
Oh,
with
okay.
notes. So.
Yeah.
This is sort of a process question. I know that we are looking directly at the budget, and then in the next set of the meeting are the resolutions.
Correct.
So we'll do any changes to the resolutions
Yes,
there,
we can do any changes.
and
to
then we would have to do an amendment potentially to the budget, or?
The budget, it's, either I made the changes exact to the line item, or it's over budgeted, and that'll stay within the spending guide. by what we approve for salaries.
Okay.
So I recall that we talked about the property tax admin fee, which is budgeted at $30,000 less than last year. And you said that it's a percent it should go up with the property taxes. So I'm just reiterating the conversation that we had last time. So if the property taxes are forecasted to increase, then the admin fee should also be increasing. But that change isn't in this draft budget, so then that makes me, so that's just the first line that I know was supposed to change.
Right.
And then that makes me, that's why I was like, okay, can we go through that list? Because if the first one didn't change, it makes me concerned that the changes that were requested at the last meeting didn't get implemented.
Right, well, that number was the exact number that I did receive from Chris, and he was in the Board of Review. So even though it is lower than last year, and I went back and checked what he sent me, he was in the Board of Review, so he didn't really get a chance to, I didn't really get a chance to ask him why. But, so even if we under budget for, that amount, and we take in more money, that's not going to throw the budget off. That's going to just be, so, I mean, it's just a working document. So if more than $200,000 does come in, which it likely will, and I don't, I will, that will, then we'll just, it won't really impact the budget in any way, except for that we'll have more money.
And we're talking about the PTAP, right, the property tax administration fees?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, all of those should, they should increase by 5%.
Well, I can see that our actuals were 183,000, but our budget was 229,000, so now
From this year or last?
this year. So, I mean, this isn't a full year budget.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, but I mean, maybe we're gonna be coming in under budget this year, so,
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that one I will explore more with Chris, but it's, if we do have an increase in that area, it's always okay to under budget on the revenues. It's not going to have direct, it's not going to be overspending.
The only other, I have another question on the revenue line, the My Class interest revenue. I had written a note that we were going to break that out as the 30,000 general fund, 15,000 fire, and 15,000 police.
right.
And it's still listed
It
as.
should be 15,000, that should be 500,000. Oh, are you talking about
Just for the Michigan
interest?
class interest, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's still, and it's fine if it's staying there. I just know that there was a discussion about breaking it out by each of the, Of the actual funds.
Assigning that interest
Oh, okay.
income to the correct fund.
Here, I
code.
thought we did that, and it didn't. I mean, I
So-
worked with Kim, and she was,
So it sounds like we didn't amend the budget according to the discussion at the last meeting.
so we can make that amendment. So we'll put the 15,000 into the fire fund.
Well, we have to put the correct forecasted amount into the correct funds, and the 60,000 is the full revenue from the Michigan class investments for all funds. So it shouldn't be showing up in that amount. So it's not necessarily 30, 15, and 15. It's just get the right numbers from Maris and put them in the right fund codes.
Do you know what they are, Mary? Off the top of my head, I mean, I can go and get them right now if you want. No? I mean, it should,
I mean, I think
Wait,
it's
let me
okay
see.
if we all know that we're doing it as the total amount, and then we can always do the amendment to break them out once we have those of,
because the
like,
total amount is
the
correct.
actual numbers. I just,
Well, yeah, but this is the general fund budget that I mean, it's fine. We're just going to be approving a budget that we know is wrong, that we identified last week as being incorrect and asked to be corrected for today. So we know we're not going to have 60,000 in general fund revenue from the Michigan class investment, but we're showing 60,000 in general funds. That line item needs to be assigned to the correct funds for the budget. So the
Yeah.
correction didn't get made. So that's all I'm.
Oh, thanks, Michelle.
And I'm just going to scroll down to the,
Can I ask again what the $57,000 was in miscellaneous, because I don't remember?
well, and it looks,
We don't have,
I think that nothing got changed, because now I'm looking at the 725,000 under road improvements. That was supposed to be 625,000.
I left the 725 because we had talked about the possibility of doing some lights, in some of the more dangerous intersections, and I thought, and so I left the $100,000 in there for the ability to do
Do
that.
you remember that that is a no-cost item, that the lights of the intersections are a no-cost item?
If the pole is there, if there's nothing that we have to do with it. And it just gives us a cushion if there are other things that we want to do with the road. So if that come up, or the contracts come in over the amount that, which did happen this year, they came in over the amount that they bid at the beginning of the year because of the cost of supplies. So to have a cushion, so we don't.
So then, Diane, I think you should walk through all the requests that were made by the trustees and tell us what was implemented and what wasn't, and if it wasn't implemented, then why?
Okay.
Where is that, Karen? What page?
Well, I was just looking, I flipped back to capital improvements because I wanted to, I'm just trying to validate that the changes we requested were actually made.
I do see that the salary, like, there are some that were
That
changed.
were made.
I've been going through my
All the
notes. And,
salary.
yeah, the
Yeah,
salaries
the
were
salaries
changed.
were changed.
So I do see some that were made. So for the, back to the general fund, the my class interest revenue, doing a very rough calculation, and obviously this changes as the market changes. It looks like the police would be 22,046, fire would be 22,046, and the general fund would be 44,484.
Yeah, I feel like it would be.
That's like, it's
This-
80,000, it's $88,000.
Well, for the entire year, but I think that's too much. Let's see.
So we have 60,000 budgeted. What did you say the general
if
fund
you
would be,
took-
Lonnie?
He said about
This total,
44,500.
I would put in 2 million, well,
Or were you
not,
looking, Laura?
because, so do 1 million times 4.7, and that should give you the, well,
Yeah, that's the 40, that'll be about 44, right?
yeah.
What I did to estimate it, just so everyone, is we took the income earned over a month, so it's a month of income, and I just multiplied that by 12 to give us a yearly. Again, the markets will change. We may not get the same
Yield.
average yield that we're getting this month, so it could fluctuate.
Yeah,
So
because
you-
this
so-
was, so the general fund happened, that started in May. So because of our fiscal year, so this is what it's showing you is the year-to-date, right? But that is part of this new year. But there were, in our fiscal year, it's more, right? So that's more like the total for the general fund, because this is as of February, so we made about close to $24,000 in the general fund for the year, our fiscal year. This, yes.
But you began the investments
In
in,
May.
right.
So, but that, so I guess it would be a month shy. So it would be more than $24,000. That's just for the general fund alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can break, so do we want to have 25,000?
I gave all those estimates. I wrote all those down. Do we have those? Do you remember? Yeah, because I wrote,
we did 30, 15, and 15.
That's what I wrote down at the last meeting.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thirty.
I think that's.
Well,
what
and it
was.
sounds like that's in the ballpark,
Yeah.
you know. So, we lost our chair. Because I was going to say, should we have a proposed amendment?
Should we make a list of them?
Yes.
I gave, I gave all of
do
the
them all at once.
estimates and everything to Diana, and I think she had them in there. And I think, isn't that what she has in there anyways?
No, it's all listed as, it's listed
As
altogether
lump
as
sum.
60 for general fund, and
So you, right, you just
we
want
just
to see
need
it
to
broken
remove the
out.
30 and put it in the right places, so it's
Right.
not in the general fund.
Right.
So the budget is in balance with 1.844 million in revenue and that same amount in expenses with 725,000 for capital costs, and that's 100% assigned to roads. So just so everybody understands, we've got 700, our operating surplus, base operating surplus is equal to the value of the capital expenses, $725,000. So in the past, last year, when we made our decisions about balances, we said we were going to draw down those balances to help pay for new roads. We're not doing that with this budget because the operating revenues are fully covering the cost of those roads. So we still have that operating surplus.
Diane, it's okay, we can just amend it.
Yeah.
You
Well, we
just
can break
amend
it down now to 30, 15, and 15.
Right.
As an amendment.
Right.
But when we vote, and 30,
Yeah.
15, and 15. Fire.
But OSLP is in there too, that's the only one, and that one.
Yeah.
was
What are
just
you
done
thinking,
recently.
Alex?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, the OSLP one. I mean, we worked on this, I don't know why some of the things didn't save, and I didn't notice it. Okay.
And can I ask the members of the public that are here if you need to talk out in the foyer, because it's difficult for us. We're all in a row here, so it's a little bit challenging for us to hear one another.
Next item?
I just have a question under the planning and zoning. We have $4,800 under miscellaneous, but you have $400 a month car credit.
Yeah, and I just talked to Mike today. I didn't know if you would want to have the car credit or if you would want to have the mileage, and he decided on the mileage, so that will come, he won't get paid that car credit. Yeah, so that just,
So that's an,
yeah, it's just not going to be spent, but we can also take it off.
So let's add that to the list to take off the budget, the $400 car credit.
what do we anticipate his car credit to be? Is this, we have numbers from last year?
Yeah, we took half of what I recommended originally and half of what, we met in the middle between what I recommended originally and then what he was actually getting reimbursed for mileage, and that's how we came up with the car credit, but his mileage is somewhere around, if I remember correctly, somewhere around $1,700 a year that he gets reimbursed on mileage, and he just wants to stick with the mileage because it was the either or, and he didn't, so he's not going to get the car credit.
So we should reduce that number to $2,000?
Yes.
Karen, what department are you in?
Planning and zoning. Okay.
And it's the very last line. Well, no, it's actually by $4,800.
What department number is that?
101, 400, 955.
No, I mean the department number.
Oh, 400.
Was there anything else that was different, that is different in this budget than what we asked for, other than the roads and the,
Well, I know that there's one thing that's out, so when we get to the resolutions on salary, we can do a deeper dive. Some of my addition or some of my multiplication was a little off, and then I didn't know if, at the end, I wasn't sure if we're doing the 6 or the 10%. I have both figures here for the elected officials, so we'll put that in. And I also have a different addendum for the resolution for the trustees, because I just put in everybody's salary together, and I had to break that down. So those are some things, and all of those are consistent. The rest of the salary adjustments are consistent with what we talked about, but we'll see that when we get to the resolutions also, which determines what we pay.
The other thing is when we come into the ARPA money, the ARPA funds, that did not seem accurate.
Is that in here, the current? Michelle has a current update
Do you have a current update?
on the ARPA funds. Yeah, and that was just getting fixed with Kim today.
Didn't we get 600 and some $1,000, like, roughly?
Is this fund,
$683,288.31.
and is that is Fund 285? It's not paginated, but it's the last fund code after the open space. 683,288. So we've got a line in there in ARPA now that's extra ARPA to be reallocated.
Are you looking at Department 901?
I'm looking at Fund 285, it's the last page.
Oh, yeah, Fund 285.
Yeah, and it does say, yeah,
Because. 37. Okay, the sewer expenses with the 53,000, when it was 154 ARPA, it was 154 ARPA to go to Copper Meadows, Silver Lake, and the wastewater treatment plant. Stantec was not supposed to be part of that $154,000. It was, the original request we had was $154 to go to Multi-Lakes, and then after the fact, we added in the engineering report. And the broadband infrastructure of what's 221,000 for broadband infrastructure?
no, that we still have the $78,000 for broadband infrastructure.
So it's column
The
6 is the proposed budget.
$221,000 is extra ARPA, that's additional ARPA money that we have to decide how we're going to reallocate it.
The 221?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we originally proposed the sewer, it was 154 for those 3 projects. And then Stantec came after the fact. And I don't care if it comes out of ARPA funds, but we did make a commitment of $154,000 to multi-lake projects.
So we could use some of that 221 for the Stantec. Right.
Or just increase the sewer by that 16,000, whatever, I forget what Stantec was, $15,000 or $16,000. I think it was 16 altogether, close to 16. Just increase the sewer to 170 of ARPA funds. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense, but it sounds like an estimate, so I think we should probably do it as a budget amendment when you've got the real dollars. And then,
We've already paid it. We've already paid Stantec.
well,
So it's whatever.
But if we've already paid Stantec, then that's from this year's.
Yeah,
so the actuals this year are 53,003.
37,000 just got paid to repair the Half Moon pump station.
Yeah, but I mean, there's 53,000 in expenses to date.
Right, right, but I want this number increased by the $15,000, because this doesn't cover, it'd be $154,000 minus the $37,000 that we just paid for Half Moon Lake. It'd be $117,000 should be remaining in the ARPA funds for the sewer.
Got it.
Okay.
So you want to move 17,000 from the 221 in unallocated funds over into sewer.
Okay, so it's add 17,000 into, so let's do some math here. So 100, 600, and
$1,608,50. Another 50 cents got in there, plus 17,000, right? Is that what you, so it's 117,608, okay.
Well, I don't, this budget, does this budget run on a single-year basis, or the ARPA budget,
I think it runs on our same
fiscal year?
fiscal year, yeah.
Okay.
And then and then to reduce the 221, do you have that figure? 221 by 17 minus?
Oh, I can do that.
221 minus 17,000.
221, 447,000 minus 17,000,
447.
2047.
204447.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that'll be 2 more amendments to the budget. Other items? Anything else?
Trying to figure out if the capital improvement that was under building and grounds, did we move that to?
Yeah,
capital?
that got
Okay.
moved down to,
That was $50,000 moved over.
Yeah,
yeah, that got moved.
I'm just going back through my notes to make
Yep.
sure we've got all the. And the print,
Printed that up to
1,500,
15,000.
15,000.
That was for printing and
For-
Sun Times.
Under the election department 216?
No, that was just under general
Okay.
government.
We did list under 216, 900 for printing and publishing. I had made a note that we had upped that
It's
to
up to-
2,000?
Yeah, that's changed.
Okay. Thank you. It's hard to follow along on both, so I'm just checking.
You read me the changes, I'll check them.
Front desk assistant, I think I saw that in there.
So I misspoke because I didn't notice the 50,000 that was moved. So our operating budget excluding capital is 1,069,000 or 1,070,000. And so we're just over a million, just under 1.1 million, and our revenue 1.8. So we put 775 into capital.
Yeah.
Not 725.
And did we add the 20 for forestry, capital improvements, Department 901?
Okay, supervisors, is there postage for elections?
Question about property tax admin fees, but this is the trial balance report, so this is like wrapping it up or whatever, right? So this is.
Just to the queue, they
last
actually have to
year's
send out
ending year. Why didn't we
on a
do
regular
amended
basis,
budget
new
for
voter
this amount?
registration cards.
Because we don't have to amend the budget because we're running under budget.
I think
You
I
don't
had
want to
500 in
increase
there, I'm not sure now.
What increase?
From the actuals.
Well, if you
Or
look
I
at the trial
requested.
balance
Yeah, I
report that
remember you
Michelle just ran,
requested.
Look at the P-TAB.
And I probably would
But
have
as long
used
as
that,
we're
but just to be on the
running
safe
under
side.
total budget, we don't have to do budget.
Yeah, I'll add, so
Yeah, but this is a.
This is
you want
not-
I
it
thought
for
we had
last year.
postage in
To
there.
make it higher.
What the heck did we do?
Mistake.
No worries.
That was the actual, that was your amendment.
So that's
Why didn't we
line.
amend it
And that's the,
so high?
So we're adding 500 for postage under elections.
I don't remember doing that at all.
Well, we did a
now we
budget,
should
the only
stop.
budget amendment we did last year was the first meeting of the fiscal year, and Colleen walked us through, there were several budget amendments. There were several things that we approved in the original budget that were immediately obsolete, and we corrected all of those at the first meeting of the fiscal year, I think it was in April. And that's the only budget amendment we made for the year.
Was that the property tax administration fee? Because
Because if you look at the trial balance report that Michelle just printed out,
On the second page, I handed you one, it's ARPA's on there as well.
So, that was the end of the year last year, right? Why did we amend the budget for this? This is our actual right now. So if we're trying to
Yeah.
forecast for next year, we should times this by 5%.
The 187?
Well, this was not necessar, we don't know that we amended that in the first meeting. This is just our balance.
Yeah, right. So this was the balance
And
at
this
the
is
end of the year.
last year's budget.
And then,
Yeah,
right,
it was
and it said it
52
was the
million. Then we
amended
did 20
budget, but
for
I don't know why we
first
would have
year.
budgeted this so highly.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know either.
That's true.
We shouldn't have, like, because I mean, you essentially would take,
she just left it at
And left, okay.
yeah, because this year it's 5%, so this is our actual right now.
Yeah,
So we would just multiply that by
I just wanted to make sure
five,
it's there.
1.05.
That's all the notes that I
right?
have.
So our
And
budget
that-
we were over budget last year.
This is probably more like it for this year.
Well, the 200,000 is probably actually more like it.
Yeah, the 200,000 is,
5% of 200.
That's what, yeah.
So I think the 200,000 number is probably good.
Yep.
And I don't know why the 229
I
was too
have
high.
no idea. I just looked at that and then like, it's interesting.
good job, Maris.
All right, that's good.
Anything
Okay,
else?
so was that everything then? Should we
We went through his list.
should we propose some modifications to the budget?
Yes.
Do you want me to read what I wrote down? I've only
Well,
got four.
yeah.
Is that right?
And add for postage under election, $500. Yeah,
I'm sorry, how much?
500.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the person who made the motion should probably make the motion with the changes? Is that right? And who-
I can.
Okay.
I wrote them down. Okay. So I'll make the motion to make the following amendments to the 23-24 budget. First thing, under general fund, we reduce the Michigan class income to 30,000, and then add 15,000 to both police and fire revenues under the Michigan class revenue. Then we reduce, I wrote down the number, I didn't know what it is, 101,400.
Yeah, under planning and zoning.
Oh, under planning and zoning, we
Mhm.
reduce the 400-955-001, and we reduce that to $2,000 away from the $4,800. Under the ARPA funds, we move $17,000 into the sewer fund to give us a total balance of 117 change. And then we increase the postage under the elections category to $500. Is that enough?
Mhm.
So I'll make a motion to amend the budget as summarized by trustee Nolte.
I think Karen, are you seconding her motion?
No, I don't think she was summarizing. Yeah, but that was,
Okay, sorry.
because I made the original motion, so I'm amending my motion
Amending the motion.
with the
Okay.
modifications that Karen offered.
Matt, second.
I think we'll take a voice vote on this. Laura Sanders? Yes. Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
Michelle Stambolelli?
Yes.
Mira Smets?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Lonnie Scott?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Budget for 23-24 year is now passed, and with the amendments.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you,
Sorry, guys,
everybody.
I didn't print out my package because it was so long, so I haven't looking for a plug.
Hey, you might have one underneath your desk.
Yeah.
I have some over here.
Now it's the second call for public comment. Anyone have any other
Do you want to switch ends, Karen?
things to say on the,
Oh, she got
Any-
Jan's plug.
any other issues or comments by the board or staff on the budget? Okay. Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
I
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Me, well, Karen and I both.
Thank you, everyone.
It's always us at the end.
Okay, now we are moving into the Board of Trustees meeting agenda. We've already done the roll call. Does anyone have any conflict of interest with any item that's on the agenda this evening? Seeing none? First call for
Yeah,
public.
I
oh,
actually, I
sorry.
do, just
Sorry.
because my
Yeah.
deputy is my brother, so I just want to let that be known, that if we have discussion of salary, that I'll exit the room when we come to that,
Okay.
okay?
Good point. Thank you.
Michelle, did you want to also? Because isn't that a conflict of interest?
Absolutely. If there is discussion on a salary for the deputy clerk, I will abstain as well. Thank you.
Just trying to clear the
Thank you.
bases, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? First call for public comment? Okay, move right along here. Approval of the agenda.
Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and remove item number 6.
Approval of minutes?
That would be the proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Is that off?
Well, that's the other.
That's the old one. You all have the new one? Did Abby get a new one out to everyone?
Number 6 is approval of minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
No?
Well, then we'll,
I was given the wrong.
Which one do you
I'll
have?
go make you a copy.
It's okay. I have
that's okay.
two of
I mean,
them.
that's the only
So
thing
some-
that needs to be,
I do have this, but I was given this too.
yeah.
Strike that. I
All right,
apologize.
scratch that. And then I would like to add, there is some information of just a brief, at number D, sorry, new business D. I would like to add a discussion about the seniors center and some information we have, share some information and
For new business?
for new business,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Any other changes to the agenda? Someone like to move to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll move to approve I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that, Sanders.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now approval of the minutes from the February 21st, 2023 meeting. Someone like to move to approve the minutes? Then we can have a second and a discussion.
The one thing that I question, excuse me, is on page 4. It says trustee Scott withdraws his second to the motion. The deputy clerk discussion will be added to the new business next month, but it's not on the new business next month.
Oh, so maybe we should have amended the,
I forgot to mention that. I just saw it. What is it? So on page 4 of the minutes, it says that we're going to discuss it under new business, but it's not under our new business on our agenda.
I have a kind of question about process, maybe for Alex. We had, in this discussion of Terry Kleinschmidt, if you remember, she talked about not getting a chance to vote, and you clarified that a vote wasn't made on this, but this was a petition, and the petition needed a certain number of signatures. But now we're summarizing. This is a correct summary of what she said, but it feels a little like we're distributing more misinformation because we're describing how she didn't get to vote, but we all know that there was no vote. So are we required to, would we be able to summarize this at a higher level and say something like, Terry Kleinschmidt expressed concerns about the process for this without repeating the misinformation?
Your requirement under law is to have an accurate representation of what happened at the meeting.
Yep.
So I would either exclude that detail or later highlight it. You guys can add more detail to your minutes, and you absolutely can, but you can also have less. That's your discretion here.
So I would suggest that we maybe just keep that first sentence there. A resident of Silver Lake for 50 years has a concern about a petition she said she never saw or read, and she owns 3 properties at Silver Lake, and just leave it at that. And leave out the rest of the detail, which then we're avoiding spreading that misinformation. So I would move to amend the minutes like that.
You want to kill the second sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. I would opt for just adding that the attorney later clarified, because we do that earlier, so I just saw it where it was, we mention, I don't know where it was at. Because the only reason I would say that is, did the Lake Association have votes? They mentioned, she actually mentions it twice, and I wonder if we lose some of the context. I'm open either way. I think I would rather it just say, like, we add township attorney later clarified that there was no vote, so that it is accurate to what the resident said and that it was corrected. But either way,
I'm fine with either way. I'm good either way. There's a couple of typos in there. Silver Lake needs to be capitalized, and owns doesn't have an apostrophe. Too. So I'm fine with what you proposed, Lonnie.
Okay, so we're approval of the minutes as amended by Lonnie Scott, is that? And Karen Zakanga, because you caught the typos.
Who made the motion to approve the minutes as amended? Nobody.
No one yet. I think that's what we're looking for. I don't think anyone.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second it. Sanders.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
No,
Aye.
excuse,
Oh,
but
sorry.
Oh, you
again,
want
it says
discussion.
the deputy clerk discussion
Oh.
will be added to new business. Do we want to do that? Do we want to strike it from the minutes? Or do we want to put it on this month's agenda? I mean, it says it's going to be on this month's agenda.
It is on the updated resolution, so for salaries and wages. So how about, we can just,
I don't think that's not about approving the minutes, though. That's about what we're going to talk about. I think we should go ahead and approve the minutes, and then we can decide if we want to amend the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Who's second?
Oh, who seconded that?
Sanders.
Standard, oh, right. I thought there was a second. All right. The next item on the agenda is the planning and zoning update from David Rohrer.
Evening, everybody. The update, the Master Plan Steering Committee is having its final meeting next Monday. I will have a draft in my hands April 10th, and it will be distributed to the Planning Commission. They'll be meeting in April, May, and June, hopefully approving with minimal changes, and then it'll be sent on to the board for its statutory review period. So other than that, the department, everything's going well. The ZBA met last month. We are meeting again in 2 weeks. We seem to be steady. An update on the Chelsea Area Construction Agency. Or CACA. So they had their board meeting last month. They're continuing to do very well. For 2022, they did over 2,200 permits. So they're doing very, very well. They continue to provide a valuable service. The board is continuing to work with them to help them tweak and refine some of their internal budgeting and personnel policies. So that is ongoing, but overall they're doing an excellent job. So a fairly brief report today. So any questions?
So you said that the steering committee, done after next month?
It should wrap up on Monday because then the edits and the draft are coming to me 10 days later, and then they'll be distributed to the planning commission. So I think the steering committee will be kind of phasing out at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking because I know, I had to miss this last meeting, but the meeting
Sure.
before, we discussed like different ways of like community outreach. So, and then we were talking about getting a booth at Dexter Days.
Yep.
So who, if we're not having a committee and people to discuss, how are we going to delegate, like, people to organize?
So that is a good question. It will probably be discussed. We potentially will meet informally again, or it'll be decided with the consultant. But yeah, during the statutory review period, we will have several public engagement opportunities. One of them may be an outdoor event at the Dexter Days.
Okay, cool, because I'd like to help with that, so, okay.
Is Dexter Days just to help inform the public?
Yeah, yeah, basically get their input.
So the planning commission is planning to do a Dexter Days?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know, it would probably,
No, actually,
it would be a committee.
it'll be
for the steering committee.
consultant-led. The consultant will schedule the public engagement meetings, one here, potentially one in Dexter Days, and potentially one other offsite as well, just to try to vary up where we're engaging with the public.
Okay. I'm asking because the road committee was also thinking of getting a table at Dexter Days.
Oh.
So I don't know if we want to coordinate about that or, remember, Doris? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could combine forces for that.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And I would recommend reaching out to them very soon, because they fill up very quickly.
Yeah,
That's true.
we could do a, like a whole Dexter
A Dexter
Township
Township, yeah.
area, and everybody, you know.
We had a very successful parade presence last year.
Yes, you
Yeah, you did, yeah.
It was fun.
Will you bring your donkey?
Yeah, we will bring our horses again. And the tractor.
Okay, thank you, David.
Sure.
And just to go back to supervisor's remarks, which I kind of skipped over, I just want to say happy birthday to Janice Miller, our hardworking recording secretary. Happy birthday to you. Okay. What? Today is the day. She has is what she's doing for fun on her birthday.
Wow, how, that's dedication.
So the next item is Nature's Preserve Development and Private Road Maintenance Agreement to be approved, to be approved by the board tonight. David, you're on.
I'm up again. Okay. So Nature's Preserve, I'm sure many of you, this predated this board entirely. This is an open space community on North Territorial, containing 20 single-family home lots on approximately 40 acres. 20-some acres of those are open space. So it was approved by the Planning Commission in January of 2020.
Was there following meetings from the planning commission?
So typically, the development agreement, the private road maintenance agreement comes shortly thereafter. Unfortunately, it kind of got lost in the shuffle with the old board and COVID and the shutdown. So it's coming a bit late, but it is a standard development agreement. Alex has worked pretty diligently with the developer's attorney to get everything in order. It is a phased project. It's to be done over 3 phases, although the developer intends to expedite those phases as quickly as they can to get the homes sold. So it is a final approved site plan. It will be tapping into multi-lakes, so there's 20 new taps that have come along with it. So it really is a little unusual that it takes this long, but it is here now in front of us, and it is a good project, and it's had the support of the township through all of this process.
Questions?
Well, I'll bring up my one, and I mentioned this to David, but I should mention it to everybody on the board. This development goes right down the line of multi-lakes. And I think there should be something in this document that I fear in the summer when multi-lakes is the sewer into their sand pits, the odor back there can be quite right, let's say. And I think there should be something that Dexter Township or Multi-Lakes is not liable for any odor mitigation as comes up, because it's going to come up, especially on your fourth phase, as it gets way back by the Multi-Lake pits, which is at the far back of the property.
Would this be something that they would have to disclose to potential buyers?
I think, I don't
That
want
could be,
anybody.
that would be a part of the development
Yeah,
agreement then.
I don't want anybody coming back at Multi-Lakes saying that Multi-Lakes needs to take some action to control the odor, and I don't want them coming back at Dexter Township.
Right,
They need to be made aware that you're building next to our sewer plant.
Yeah.
And there is odor that comes from that sewer plant, and there's,
Are you concerned about the actual home sites
in nature's preserve, sure, when they buy,
Yeah.
they're going, when the wind's blowing, you are going to smell it. If you've done the tour of Multi-Lakes, when they've been doing.
the wind's blowing, you smell the manure too,
You
so.
smell it, yeah.
It's Dexter, baby.
But I don't want Multi-Lakes to be liable, and I don't want Dexter Township to be liable. I mean, it's kind of like buyer beware. I can appreciate it, but again, it's a buyer beware.
Yeah,
And
I mean, farm
I don't want
animals.
any liability on that, you know?
Farm animals are different than a plant.
Yeah.
It's a sewer plant.
Yes, so should we table this until the next meeting?
I don't think you need to table it. What I would recommend is, I think that's a reasonable request, and that's a request that's consistent with your ordinance and your power to kind of approve this under section 3106. And how I would recommend it for the applicant is that we can add something in here about a general release and hold harmless for the township and Multi-Lakes. I think that's appropriate for this development agreement. But as part of this development agreement, the township reviews and approves David, me, your supervisor kind of goes through the master deed too to make sure it's consistent with your development plans. And I would say, we'll add that release here, that language here, and so you would approve that subject to that amended change. You can say, subject to your
Hold
attorney
harmless.
adding in a release and indemnity. And then I would recommend to them that we also put that in their master deed bylaws, that they're gonna just have a notice provision for their future owners. And assuming they approve, so subject to those changes, and if they don't agree, we'll come back to you guys next month. But otherwise, I think we can call it approved if they agree to that language.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Also, I didn't even think of that, Trustee Nolte, but off of Madden Road, there's a dirt road, Oak Hill Drive, and those homes back high-tension towers, and I know there was a really big stink, no pun intended, with those humming, and I don't know what happened. I know they tried to start a petition. I don't know if they were coming forth to the township, but that's another thing to take into consideration.
But that's for this development?
I'm not sure if those towers go,
They run down the edge of
they're, yeah,
Multi-Lakes.
right?
There's big
Okay.
electrical.
It's just something to think about because it was a really big deal
I'm gonna
for
say
those
this,
homeowners.
I don't think you guys, the township or Multi-Lakes has a lot of liability here
Okay.
in terms of that. That's a home, like you said, it's a buyer beware, but that's why I also think the applicant would agree to it, and they'd understand it's an extra protection, so I think those are completely reasonable.
So I know this is coming up in Ann Arbor Township, and you probably know this too, but would it be appropriate to ask the developer to notify prospective buyers that the roads are private and not eligible for public funding for repair and maintenance?
If you'd like, so I think that's already done and kind of encapsulated in these documents. And that's kind of, if you want to get into the content of these documents, you have two in front of you. You've got a development agreement, which I know you all have seen before many times. Before you started development, there's a deposit of a performance guarantee, as David said, it goes through phases. And these are things to make sure that the development runs along smoothly, that we can access the property, and that there's a performance guarantee available to the township and mechanisms to kind of finish
Yeah.
it's sufficiently covered, but.
Yeah, I don't have a strong feeling about it. It was something that, we had a combined meeting of our several local road committees, and there was a lot of talk about that, but the homeowners are surprised. They don't understand that the private roads are their financial responsibility. And we talked about disclosure and.
And that's exactly, you guys have a nice private road ordinance and it requires its maintenance agreement. And if you read through it, once the developer is out, but we actually never let the developer or the current landowner off the hook, but technically, but we do make it very clear that this passes on to the homeowners association, and the master deed needs to describe that in a cost sharing mechanism, which it does. It's described as the road is a general common element of condo, and homeowners pay assessments for its upkeep and maintenance.
Any other questions or concerns about the development agreement? I think we should probably
Happy they're going on the sewer.
vote on them separately, is that right? First the development agreement and then the private road? Yeah.
The first one would be
Okay.
a resolution to approve the development agreement subject to the conditions to be worded by the, to be finalized by township attorney, if that's all okay with you.
Yeah.
And then I'll check with the applicant and David will follow up with them. I'm assuming that's gonna be, they're gonna understand that and will require that they put this in their master deed as well.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve the Dexter Township Development Agreement with Nature's Preserves, subject to the agreement to hold harmless and release Dexter Township and Multi-Lakes per our township attorney's document.
So moved.
Second. Metz.
Any other discussion on the development agreement? Take a voice vote. Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
And if they don't agree, we'll be back next month.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next is the private road agreement, which we've had a discussion about. So any other questions about or concerns about the private road agreement?
Is there a cul-de-sac? Is there a cul-de-sac back there or a turnaround?
At the very end there is.
It's on exhibit B, take a look and make sure look at the road.
Cool.
Yeah, go with it.
Looks nice.
Exhibit B, curve table?
I not see that.
Look under
Oh, it's in,
exhibit B, there's a distinction. And look under sheet 2 of 3.
It's on the back of the other.
Gotcha. I didn't see I must have skipped over them.
Oh.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask a silly question since I'm on the broadband committee? Are we running cable to these homes?
Do you know anything about the utility service? We have their
I mean, I know the easements are sufficient to run broadband. I don't know. The developer and his engineer are here, so they can answer that for you.
Are you running broadband to the houses?
Oh, I didn't realize the developer was here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Quite a bit. Yes, the changes are very standard. Just so you got the record, my name's Joe Mader with Washington Engineering. I'm representing the developer, Joe Vittori, this contractor, Pat Tainer. So, yeah.
Sorry, we would have invited you to that, sorry.
We thought you were interested in the budget.
We're meeting with DTE, all the electrical companies, we'll have electric or phone service, cable service, it'll all be run in. I mean, it's common for any new development now.
Thank you.
And I did see in there that it was to be buried, which I was also very happy about.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That is nice. They won't lose their internet. I'm moving there.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the private road roadway easement maintenance and improvement agreement.
So moved?
Second.
Take a vote. Maris,
Yes.
Lonnie,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Karen Sakanga,
Yes.
Karen Nolte.
Yes.
And myself, yes. So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Get those houses built.
What's the timeframe?
We thought you were all just really excited about the budget.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. It's like, look at this big crowd here to talk budgets.
Roughly, can I ask roughly what's your timeframe?
We think that we want to get the precast, we're looking at scheduling it now
Oh,
for mid-April.
oh, okay.
Which, yeah, so.
So 4 houses this
Once we
year or
get the
so?
materials ordered and approved, we can
Okay.
get started, so.
I sit on the sewer board, so I'm wondering about taps.
Oh, yeah.
I need some tap fees.
That'll be this summer.
That's another budget.
Thank you for your.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
I should have known.
We should have, the normal members of the public, we know them personally. If they're strangers, they must be here for some particular reason.
And then it clicked. And then I'm like, oh,
David,
okay.
you're back on, updated fee schedule. We're wearing them out tonight.
Apologies, I didn't actually, I should have introduced the developer and the project engineer, but I was. Okay, the updated fee schedule, there's only two, well, there's one, there's the WWRA operating debt and that's actually a resolution, so I'll leave that to Diane, she made the resolution. The only two proposed changes I made were two minor changes. We hadn't actually changed our major zoning permit or our minor zoning permit since 2014. So I gave them a slight bump up, so I bumped the major zoning permit from 80 to 85, which is a 6% increase, and the minor zoning permit from 35 to 40, which is a 14% increase.
And the increase, they haven't happened since 2014?
They've not happened since 2014.
So
Is $5 enough? I mean,
we have as a strategic planning goal from 2 years ago, a benchmark study, and you and I have talked about this before, of looking at fees in other areas to see, and also, so there's benchmarking, but there's also looking at our costs compared to find out whether our fees are covering our costs or if the general fund is offsetting those.
So the
yeah.
proposals are based on basically a sampling of Dexter Township, Lodi, Sylvan, and Webster. Unfortunately, fee schedules are not one-to-one, so some communities do not have private roads, so they do not have a private road fee schedule. So out of all of those, the most consistent fee that we see is for signs and fences. Those typically run about $50. So we are the only ones that have an actual, well, we all have a major zoning permit, but the other townships, Sylvan, Webster, they lump a lot of different things under those. Those can be single-family homes, they can be generators, they can be lots of different variables. So very few of the townships, actually none of the surrounding townships have what we call a minor zoning permit, which means that in most of those townships, to side your house, to replace windows, to pull a roof, doesn't necessarily require a zoning permit. So it may require a building permit, but it doesn't require anything on the township's part. So we charge that fee as a way to actually monitor the work. When people replace roofs, they tend to take, or sometimes can take liberties and add dormers, add a second story. So we like to monitor what's actually being done. So that's the reason that we charge for minor permits. That also covers interior remodels, bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels. Those also play into our assessment roles. So our assessor actually knows which houses have received upgrades internally and externally. $5 on average seemed reasonable. I wouldn't be opposed to it going up to 10, but I didn't want to also hike our fees in one fell swoop to up to $100, anything north of there. There isn't really anything comparatively in the other townships that would justify that for us to jump ours up significantly.
I'm so happy that you brought that data. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about the fee schedule?
So can we cross that off our strategic plan as done?
It's done.
I think so.
Yay.
Yeah. Great. So now our next,
Don't we have to approve it now?
oh,
We need a vote, or we need a motion to approve.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll need a
Please,
motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the new fee schedule as presented.
Second. Metz?
Should we take a voice vote on this? Michelle?
Yes.
Yes.
Laura? Maris?
Yes.
Karen? Sakanga?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome. And so this is effective March 31st, so it will be updated on March 31st.
Okay.
So if we remodel our bathroom, we're supposed to get a permit?
A minor zoning permit, yes.
Okay.
I know, right? I'm sitting here
I'm about to do that. I haven't started
think I
yet.
did
I
it
want
in a
everyone
public
to know.
Theoretically, right? Theoretically.
Next time you do that, Karen.
Karen, you'll also need to go to CACA and pull permits from them, too.
Scratch that back.
Okay, Lonnie has an open letter to DTE, and when you said you wanted to bring this today, I did write to our representative, and she will have someone here next month to discuss what happened, but I'll let you read your letter.
Great.
Well, are you reading the letter, or do you?
I
just
wasn't
want-
going to read it just
Yeah.
because
Oh,
it was in the
you're not gonna read
packet.
it. Yeah.
I wanted to discuss any changes that the board may want to make, and then we can
Okay.
send it after the.
And I told you this already this morning, but I'll say for the public record that I would like the letter to go to DTE and the Michigan Public Services Commission, or else go to the Michigan Public Services Commission and CC DTE, because they're the regulatory entity that oversees the electric utility. And so this would be, I think, a way to get some action.
Yep.
And they're probably coming because they want to avoid, they don't want us to stir up trouble with the PUC or the P.
Yeah, the MPSC actually held a public hearing today in Dearborn, and there's another one scheduled. There's actually one scheduled for Jackson. I need to get the information. But the DTE is in front of the Michigan Public Service Commission with a 13.3% rate hike right now being considered. And as part of it, it is also dynamic pricing, where they will charge you more for using energy during the day as opposed to your energy use at night.
Which I read about that. I mean, the purpose of that is to relieve the stress on the system. So that differentiated pricing encourages people to use less during peak times and use more at other times. And it supposedly means that they don't have to do as many capital improvements on the system. I don't know if it really works, but that's the purpose of it. That's the justification. That's a policy-based justification. I don't know if they'll get approved for it.
Well, isn't it, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Isn't it a big thing is we are prematurely, I don't mean this rudely, trying to convert to everything electric so quickly that our infrastructure needs rebuilding, because I did hear that those hikes were happening as we were all out of power.
Right.
And that was really disappointing and disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question for the representative. I think DTE would probably say that that's the cause. I think if we look at the reality of the lack of investment over the past 2 to 3 decades of DTE into our grid, we would see that the story that they tell us as elected officials is different than the story that they tell their shareholders, which is why I think it's so important that local units of government get involved. DTE is a publicly traded utility, and that means that they answer to their shareholders. Their goal is to provide shareholders with profit, not their customers with power. And I think that is where I'm having the biggest issue. They actually, the second day of the power outage, Jeff Irwin, our state senator from around this area, he's not ours, but mentioned at a public hearing the other day with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell that I believe it was the second day that we were all sitting without power, they had a shareholder call where the CEO of DTE actually bragged about deferred maintenance and the other things they were doing to provide better shareholder profits. And we were all still sitting without power. So I think it's important that these questions be answered for the benefit of the residents.
What about providing our letter, what about CCing other local officials and providing a cover letter to them, encouraging them to write a similar letter?
Yeah, I'm happy to reach out.
And one thing that is not mentioned, so back to the sewers, that's where I'm living lately. When we go without power, those grinder pumps don't run, and Multi-Lakes had 150 calls in one day to go pump out grinder pumps, so they're incurring, 30 hours of overtime, that's adding stress to their budget. The homeowner is about to get flooded with sewage, because if they don't have a whole house generator, grinder pumps coming up and everything's backing up. And so that's a big issue around here. It's a big issue around the lake. Well, it's a big issue with anybody on Multi-Lakes.
Yeah, and then they can just be like, well, not our problem.
Yeah, not our problem.
Right?
They got
What
sewage.
did they say? The $35 they were crediting people or something like that?
Well, and this is a monopolist, they have monopoly power, we can't choose to go to a different provider, and that's what the Public Services Commission is for, and that's why I think that they're the target audience in a sense, because they are publicly minded, and their purpose is to protect the interests of the citizens who are compelled to use monopoly services. Right.
And I did read that the shareholders were wanting to limit the amount of manpower. I mean, that's
what they advertised to them. The CEO told them that part of it was they were going to defer maintenance and also limit manpower.
That's incredible. Do you want all of our signatures on your letter?
Yes, if possible, and any edits. I mean, I also copy edits as well if there's any of those. Happy to make changes.
We'll put it on letterhead and,
I appreciate you doing this. This is very important.
I really do too.
I feel a little bit of hope that we might actually make some changes, and this is a big problem. I never thought of advocating.
We actually found, when I was doing research, there's actually people were calling for burying the utility lines over 20 years ago. There are news stories where DTE says it's too expensive.
Right.
And they still haven't invested in hardening the grid in those ways. So that the tree, we have too many trees excuse has been used for nearly 30 years.
We need our trees.
Most of us remember, 2003 was it? And that was due to a tree hitting a major, a major transformer?
Oh, was that the Browna?
That was when we were all without power for 2 weeks, was it? Oh, it was,
I remember.
yeah, and it was summer.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I
Is
remember.
that Sewergeddon? 'Cause
Oh, it
Multi-Lakes
would have
keeps
been.
talking about Sewergeddon when they were down.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
do we
It was
need
the
to,
whole-
Gas stations
do we
ran
need
out of
to
gas.
approve anything, or
It
can
was
we?
multiple states. It was the whole.
Multiple
over
states,
it.
I think we could just take a voice
Exactly.
vote to make a motion.
Alex was just
to
born.
approve the letter.
So, our babies.
I was eating up.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the letter.
Okay,
I'll
Karen.
make a motion to approve the letter for distribution to DTE, the Michigan Public Services Commission, and any local jurisdictions we want to share it with.
Second. Sanders.
We all second it.
Sanders.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, thanks for doing that, Lonnie, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Lonnie.
The next the added item is, I received this letter from Jim Carson from the Dexter Senior Center. Debbie Dingle called him on Friday and said that there was an opportunity for, an opportunity for a $9 million federal grant. One thing that we all know that they're trying to, that the seniors have been trying to form their own authority, but they don't have time to do that. So what they're just asking, well, they're not asking us for any money or to do anything right now, but they are asking us to just send a letter of support to them to send with their package, that we would like to see this to them buy the Dexter Wellness Center from 5 Healthy Towns, and then turn it into a multi-generational facility that would also house the senior center. And they do have they're working on a plan for how to manage it into the future and all of that, but they don't have everything organized yet. So this is a federal grant that, you know, they've been encouraged to apply for quickly, because it does have a really fast deadline. There's also a $7 million grant a state grant that they're in line for to purchase, which they would, you know, want to purchase the building with. So they may, you know, if they get any of them, probably could be one or the other, not both. But anyway, so right now I'm just asking how you feel about me signing this letter in support of the Dexter as it will actually go to Dexter Community Schools, a $9 million grant to be for the purpose of purchasing the Dexter Wellness Center and developing a multi-generational facility.
So this is a grant that is available not just to them, but to us as well. And we also just found out we met with Debbie Dingell's representative, Karen and I, last week, and found out about this grant. And so I submitted a grant. I filled out this form and submitted it without trustee approval, because we met with her on Thursday and the deadline was Monday. And I asked for funding to pave Wiley and Huron River Drive, our 2 roads with more than 500 daily users. It's really more like a letter of interest, and my thinking was then if they come back to us and say that it's an eligible project and we are invited to submit a full proposal, then we'll go through a formal approval process with the trustees. And Karen, you maybe want to talk about what you
So, like, we found out about this and we had to jump before we could do anything because of timing. Even if you send this now, we're past the deadline.
Yeah, we're past the
Well, he said that he did call me on Monday morning and said they needed it that day before 3, but then he said that they extended it to Thursday.
Well,
So that's why.
So what happened is Dingell's office is getting all these requests, and then they will filter through down to 15 for our area. And so that's what it did. And I also filed one with Multi-Lakes, and it happened to hit right when I had the Multi-Lakes board meeting. So we filed for a $7 million grant. It was $1.7 million based on the Stantec report. I mean, talk about great timing to have a 25-page report of upgrading your sewer system. And then we filed $5.4 million to try to bring Sugarloaf residents over to Multi-Lakes to run sewer pipe over to Multi-Lakes to help those customers out, because over in Linden Township, they have a little sewer system for Sugarloaf, DNR, and the Michigan Department of Corrections. They're closing down that prison or that detention over there, and it's reverting back to the DNR, and the DNR is deeded to let it go back to wetlands, not to do any development, not to do anything. So it's leaving approximately 100 customers over on Sugarloaf with the bulk of funding their sewer system and pumping their sewer to Jackson. So we'd like to work to get it over to Multi-Lakes to help these 100 homes. So
and it can reduce, we worked on this together, so, and it can reduce then the rates. So the Multi-Lakes,
yeah, it'll help reduce Multi-Lakes.
Multi-Lakes are paying at a higher rate than surrounding communities because they're so far below capacity. Right. And so the few customers are sharing high capital costs among themselves, so the more we can grow the customer base, the more reasonable the rates will be.
The other thing about this, it's a community funding project, it's called, and it's yearly.
Yes.
And it's been like for the last 2 or 3 years, and nobody knew about it.
Right.
And Wahlberg, never went around and told anybody. Dingell's now our representative, so her people are reaching out, and so we met with Georgia, and that's how so we really need to get geared up.
For
What are we
next
gonna
year.
file next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
some-
What do we
Yeah.
want
something
next year
strategic,
that,
yeah.
if we have some big capital expense, let's look at filing a few of these and hoping we land something.
And if it's multi-jurisdictional, it scores higher.
Yeah.
So like multi-lakes, or like if we can approach the road commission, or our road committees can all get together and
We can
work
cross.
with the road commission to apply as a county
Yeah.
for local roads in some kind of priority order, then it'll score higher than if you just do it
And
as a
it's in
single.
western Washington, so multi-lakes might have a little problem because we're Putnam, Unadilla also, but still, Linden and Dexter are 63% of multi-lakes. So heck, if we got 63% of $7 million, I'd be doing a little happy dance.
But I'm not sure, I mean, for one thing, do we want to write a letter of support for our own projects that we applied for? And I don't know if this is the optimal, I wasn't here for the senior district, so maybe so that's kind of my bad, but I still am like, I don't know, seniors, I mean, a rec center, like an area-wide rec center,
That's
Well, that's
basically
what
what
it-
this is gonna be.
that's
a
not
multi-gen-
limited to seniors.
No,
Right,
it
no.
will not be limited. It says right here,
So it's-
multi-generational, multi-purpose community center.
Basically, they're taking the wellness center,
3.3
They're looking
million.
to take the wellness.
transforming it
I asked
into
for a
a
million per
rec
mile.
center.
Okay, one, Maris is
And
talking,
it's
please.
3.3.
Go ahead, Maris. No, you go ahead, you're doing.
No, it was just, they're turning
But,
it in.
people might not want it,
Karen? Go ahead. No, I'm not calling on her. Maris is talking and other people are talking, and I'm hoping that Maris could finish.
No, I was just explaining when they came in, they actually have a really good plan. It's kind of exciting because, everybody lost the wellness center that were members. And I know that there were a lot of people that were kind of complaining too, that the wellness center was kind of pricey, whatever. But now they are looking to buy the wellness center, turn it into a multi-generational center, and then charging less as like a rec center fees for family. So, which would be really cool for everybody. And then having the senior center within that building, but then also using it potentially as community space for people who don't have homes, like, Dexter orchestras and things like that, to be able to do concerts. I guess that there's place to expand. Yeah, so it sounds like it's gonna be like very community oriented and for everyone, not just the senior center, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah,
It's just
I
such
like that
a
idea.
great
What do
idea.
they think the odds are? Because I know there's people looking at Dexter Wellness to
Yeah.
buy it. There's other people in the same vein of the business, like Legacy is looking at them, Liberty Swim Club has looked at them, that these grants don't come through until
The end of the year.
spring of '24.
But don't we get word at the end of the
I
calendar?
think they go to appropriations in October or November, so we'll see if we even make a cut. But then funding doesn't happen until early '24.
So you're wondering how long this
Yeah.
is
do they
gonna
really
hold off?
think that Dexter Wellness Center is still gonna be available a year from now?
That's a
I
good
don't know.
question.
That's a good question.
That's a really good
Yeah,
question.
I don't know. But I
But,
know
I mean-
there's other people looking at Dexter Wellness.
But I love their concept, and
Yeah.
and I would be, a rec center type of concept like they have in Ann Arbor, that is multi-generational and available to everybody, is much more appealing than a senior
Yeah,
center.
well, that's what they're,
And
yeah.
it's actually much more appealing to our community than a wellness center that is expensive,
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be kind of community driven and something that everybody can afford, not just the elite.
So I'd be happy for you to sign a letter of support.
Yeah, and we can also support all of these proposals,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have to choose between them.
We took,
Yeah.
like on Karen's road grant, I went through all the old emails of anybody that complained about a road, and I made a Word document with all the emails from residents to say, hey, these are our residential comments of what we're getting, just as support for it.
Thank you for doing that, you
Yeah.
guys. Both
Yeah,
of you.
yeah.
Thank you for that time and effort.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
crazy, it was crazy, we had to do, like on Monday, we're,
At first they told us Wednesday, and then
Yeah.
the next time I talked to him, he goes,
No,
no,
it's
it's Monday.
Monday.
We went, "Oh, shit."
but it was millions of dollars,
Yeah.
and so we just felt like, well, we're just like
Right.
gonna go out and do it without even talking to you guys first, because we didn't have time. So,
At least if we get something, we get
Okay.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all in favor of me signing this letter and sending it back to Jim Carson tomorrow, say aye.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, that's right, we don't have a
I'll
motion.
make a
Would someone like to
motion
make
for
a
us to
motion?
sign the letter of support for the senior center
Support,
grant. Sorry.
support Michelle Stambolelli.
Michelle wants to support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, yeah, that's really exciting. So the next item is looking for approval for a resolution to approve Western Washtenaw Recycling Authority debt fees for new dwelling units. So that would be 90, I don't know what it is right now. So it would be $96 for every new dwelling unit to pay into the WWRA.
So what are
We
existing
voted-
people paying?
$24 per year on your
So
taxes.
new people are,
Yeah, just to get put into the, not through, just when the,
oh, it's just the first time.
just the
doing
first
it.
time,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Diane, this
To
is
get into the club.
This isn't something that we approve annually, and
This is something we approve.
and the price hasn't changed from we approved this last year, right?
Yeah,
And
was
I
it
think the
96?
price,
No, I don't think that that was what.
Yeah,
Well-
we did approve this one.
I feel like this one is
We
different.
approved $31 per household.
Yeah, that's their assessment.
no, but I think we approved, well, David,
So the debt fee changes every year. It reduces by, I believe it's $24 every year. The operating fee basically stays the same.
but this isn't a change from what we've done in the past.
It is, these are done, the board always has to make a resolution because it's on a 5-year cycle. So the operating and the debt fees are set for 5 years, and then it'll reset in 2026. And
Okay.
you go for another 5 years.
Okay.
I don't understand the 96 versus the 24. What?
It's a one-time fee that you pay when you purchase.
Excuse me, so any new single-family home that's built in Dexter Township, they pay a one-time fee to the Western Washtenaw, and it's prorated depending on when they close on their house, so,
Okay.
but it's a one-time fee that they pay. It's just for new single-family residential.
Okay.
And it supports the capital costs of WWRA, the $24, I believe, and so it's part of the debt service, and so you're paying into that construction that was done. The $24 a year is the annual operating cost. So it's that capital versus operating. So this is, they're buying into the capital costs on a one-time basis, and then they pay $24 a year to pay for the operations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Okay,
But wasn't
make a-
this supposed to be self-sufficient by now?
Not until the debt's paid off.
They must still have debt, yeah.
Did you say the debt's in '26?
The debt ends in '26. I don't know what happens after 2026. I don't
Depends
know
on
their
how they
operating
budget, yeah.
budget, but.
Go after more money if they need it.
So I'll make a motion to approve the WWRA debt fees for new dwellings.
Second? Matt?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. So the next item is the General Appropriations Act, but I redid that. Sorry, guys. There were a few changes on the General Appropriations Act, and I thought they got in here.
Do you need mine?
No, that's not the updated one.
So,
Oh, here it is, okay, I have it. Oh, no, the General Appropriations Act, I'm sorry, there are not any changes to that one. I got it mixed up. Okay. The General Appropriations Act, so, this is a resolution to adopt the fees. I mean, it really approves the budget that we've approved. The general fund at $1,844,000. Fire fund, those are the revenues that are going to be generated.
What about the open space fund revenue? Shouldn't that be on this list?
It's on the second page.
The second page? No,
Number
Well,
7.
but that's the estimated operating expenses. I'm on number 5, the page before, the estimated
Oh, yeah.
revenues. General fund, fire fund, police fund revenues, and then down below is the expenses. And I think on the expense side, we also have to list the ARPA expenses. So we have no ARPA expenses, so we have no ARPA revenues this year, but we will have open space revenues. So we need to add a line under estimated revenues for
We
open
do.
space.
You're right.
And then we need to add a line under expenditures for ARPA.
The estimated operating expenditures are also not the same. The fire fund 206 in our budget that we just approved is 1,367,830. And listed, on fire, and listed here is 1,168,95.
What was it on
Well,
the,
yeah.
on the budget?
The budget is $1,367,830.
Well, those are our expenses. This is the revenue. For the fire fund, that's the revenue, the 1,160,000.
No,
Oh,
But-
I'm sorry.
no,
Okay.
no, the 1,168,95 is listed as an operating expense under the fire fund under number 7.
Yes.
So, under the estimated revenues,
The
What?
revenues are correct, but the expenditures are incorrect.
oh, you're right. So the fire fund, yeah, should be listed at the,
So is the open space, Lonnie, I'm not looking at, because I don't have a printout, should the open space land initiative fund revenue be 246,547? So we should add a line to number 5, 240, open space land initiative fund of 246,547.
On here, our budgeted expenditures, is that what you're talking
a
about?
number 7, but a
Yeah,
number,
estimated revenue.
estimated revenue, they should
Let's-
have land preservation.
Yeah, let's start with the revenue, because that's
The-
number 5, and then we can move on to expenses.
Total revenues, $217,517.08.
For open space?
No, that,
That's what it says, right? Am I looking at the wrong, open space land, total revenues, 217,517.08.
That should be right.
And it's down here, the same
So,
number.
so we,
So we gotta change this to
is it 224,922?
That's
224,922 is the property tax collection for land, open space.
Then what is,
Top.
about 220, yeah.
If
What are you
you're
guys
on the
looking at?
page right after the,
oh, that's the wrong column. I was looking at the wrong column. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I was looking at year-to-date.
yeah,
So,
so it should be 224,922 is the estimated revenue,
yes.
yeah.
and then move on to operating expenditures. So I believe that the general fund operating expenditures should be 1069545, and then the capital costs are listed at 775 under item 9.
Oh, I was like,
So under number 7, we should reduce the general fund operating expenditures to 1069545, and then the capital expenditure of 775,000. Those two added together equal the total budget.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
and then I was not tracking on capital expenses for fire fund, police fund, and open space, so I don't know, but I assume we probably need to take out, probably we need to make the same adjustment, so the open space land initiative fund at 246,547, I assume we want to reduce that to 186,547, or 166, I guess, and then the 80,000 in capital expenses, because there's 80,000 down below.
Down below.
Yeah, and
But I
then,
don't know if that 246 is a correct number. because we had to go to the 224 is what the income is.
Because we should not pass a budget where the operating expenses exceed the revenues.
Yeah.
So if the revenue is 217 in the open space fund, the operating expenses,
Revenue's 224.
224, I was reading the wrong column.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my fault.
Revenue's 224, 922.
Yeah.
okay,
And then if we're gonna take 80,000 off of that,
off of the two,
then that becomes our expenditure number.
so the operating expenses, and I'm surprised that the operating expenses for the open space are as high as that. I would have thought, because the land acquisition is a capital expense. The only operating expense is really Barry, and then the cost to pay the guy, pay the board, and the travel expenses and all that. But the land acquisition costs are capital expenses and belong on the capital line.
Maybe it should be reversed. Maybe the 80,000 should be up in expenditures and the
And that would be,
134,000
that would be more
down
consistent
in capital.
with my guess, you know, I mean, I would guess that it would be more like
Does that
that.
make sense? Like they got reversed.
That could be.
But what about the other 300,000 that in ARPA funds that is sitting in?
Well, we need to list the
gotta
300,
list
we
the
need to
ARPA.
add ARPA on the estimated, on the expense side. It's a missing fund. And again, I don't know whether it's operating or capital, because I don't remember what it's for.
I don't, yeah, we can go with that. So are we going to reverse, we're gonna put under number 7, under open space, are we gonna do the 134, 922? No, we're gonna put the 80,000.
80,000, yeah.
We're gonna put the 80,000 up there, and then put down under number 9, the 134, 922.
922.
134, 922.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
basically 80,000.
Minus the-
No,
It-
224 minus 80 is not 930, it's not 32.
It's 134.
No,
Did I do
it
that
would be
wrong?
144.
144.
Yeah.
144.
Get your calculator out, Nolte.
And then, so the same thing for so the fire fund, we needed to adjust the expenditures, is that correct? That's where we were before. It was correct for the
budget.
but the expenditures, and this is another
Okay,
example.
so here for the fire fund, so under the fire fund, I have the 1,160,000. And then under the fund balance transfer from the fire fund, we have to meet our obligations through the year, we're gonna have to bring in $206,000 because we're taking in less than we're spending. We're taking in $1,160,895. So under the general fund, we're spending all that money, and then we're transferring in from the fire fund balance $206,935 to make up that difference.
So that's the 1367883.
Yeah.
So we're
Well,
transferring,
When I add those together, I get
No,
1428.
the 206.
Oh, I added the wrong
Plus
one.
this number.
Fire fund.
so these are transfers between funds, number
Yeah,
8?
the first one, number 8, yeah. This first one is from our general fund balance, the 267,000 to.
So we're sending 267,000 to the open space fund?
No, we're sending that to the general fund.
So we're sending 267 from the open space fund to the general fund?
No, we're sending from our general fund balance, we're sending $267,000 to cover all of the expenses for the year.
Okay,
just
so
into
the
general fund.
the general fund is Fund 101, so we need a line here for the general fund. Under estimated transfers between funds are as follows, and this is transfer in and out. So we need a line 101 general fund with, if it's a transfer out, it is in negative. So if we're transferring 267,195 from the general fund, then it's in that transfer out line with parentheses around it. And this is showing that 267,195 is going to the open space fund. Is that the intention?
No. So we're looking at number 8, right?
Yep,
and under 245. So it's, if you look in the budget, the 267 is transfer in from fund balance, 267, 195.
Fund 295, 245 in that column 1 is the open space fund. So we're saying, what we're saying with this line here is that this is
Oh.
activity in the open space fund.
Okay, so that should,
If we want the activity in the general fund, that should say 101.
101, okay.
And then it should say fund name is general fund, not fund balance. And then the transfer out of 267, 195, so that's in parentheses. And then if the fire fund is receiving that,
No, that's going to, the 267 is just going into the 101, the general fund to cover all of the expenses.
This has, you're just talking about taking it out of the general fund.
We're taking it out of the fund balance.
The fire fund balance.
No, not the fire fund, the general fund balance, the Dexter Township money that we have.
Because we pay.
Because our expenses
Oh,
are
is there a-
exceeded our income.
so there must be a transfer line at on the revenue, at the, can I look at the first page of the budget?
I think I have extra copies, actually.
Is there a transfer line?
This, I think I have several sets.
Like we got 2 copies when we got it.
Yeah, there were 2 copies in that. I didn't do that. Or I don't know how that is.
Because I see, so line, so this down at the beginning, transfer from fund balance, 267, 195.
Yeah.
So everything I said before wasn't quite right, because we are drawing that 267, 195, and that's offsetting the 775 in capital costs. So we're paying 500,000 of our roads from our operating revenue and 267 from our fund balances. And that shows up as that line there
Yeah.
under the revenue.
Right.
And so to make this
Appropriations Act.
see, I don't think that, this is saying estimated transfers between funds, and this isn't a transfer between fund. This is just this is all general fund, right?
Why would we be transferring the fund balance from?
Well, we're just transferring from our
Well,
fund.
because we can't present a budget that's low, that our expenses exceed our, so we have to take money from the general fund into our expense account, so we can, our expenses, so that we, or put money into our revenue, so we end up with a 0 budget.
Well, so maybe the fund balance fund has a different fund, maybe there is a fund called the fund balance fund, and it has a different fund code, but it wouldn't be 245 because that's
No, it
the
wouldn't be
open space
245,
fund.
yeah.
And it wouldn't be 101, then it would have to, I don't know what the fund code would be.
Yeah, that I do not know.
Well,
And it should, and so I think we need to just amend this, and I think we can do what Alex said, let's just correct that to the correct fund code and make it a negative instead of a positive because it's a transfer out. And then, but then going up above, our revenue should be reduced from 1,844 to whatever the revenue is, right? Because that's not really revenue, that's just a transfer in.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That would be.
Do you remember how Colleen never, she said, this is not a best practice, this is not how we should be doing it. We don't put the transfer line up in the revenue line. The new Government Accounting Standard Board recommendations for about the last 10 years has been to put the transfer below the total line, because the thinking is when it gets buried in a revenue line, it lacks transparency. People believe the budget is in balance when it isn't. So the transfer line is supposed to go below the total. So you show that your revenues are 1.6 million, your expenses are 1.8 million, and you're receiving a transfer in of 267 below the line.
That makes sense.
So I wonder if we could look at the format of what Colleen did last year and replicate that, but we've got to approve this tonight.
Yeah, well, we have approved the budget, so now we have to approve the Appropriations Act.
Do we have a deadline on the Appropriations Act?
I mean, I'm sure that if we called Colleen and just asked her how to fill in all these boxes, she would tell us, and then, because this is a little bit outside of I'm not really, I don't feel like I totally know how to fill this in, but I feel like there's something not right about this.
But we need to add ARPA.
And we need to add ARPA, and we need to add open space to the revenue lines.
Okay, well, I can work on this and call Colleen and see how to get this taken care
When
of.
does it have to be signed off by?
Can we do the same thing we were proposing to do on the development agreement, Alex, where we,
That I don't know. I don't know when we have to prepare appropriate.
Yeah.
well, we have to approve it by March
I think by March
31st.
31st, yeah.
And so could we approve it tonight, pending, with the understanding that these numbers will be adjusted to reflect?
You have to identify the numbers like you did before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So we can do that.
Come back and then have a meeting and approve it.
Okay, so approved
Just draw up a sheet and draw up the numbers.
Yeah, let's just,
pending,
so I think,
okay.
Read the back of the sheet.
So it'd be pending estimated revenues.
well, but Alex is saying we just have to identify the numbers now, so we're going to go ahead and figure
Yeah,
out.
the first one is the revenues, though. We have to add open space to the 224,922. That's the first one.
And I would take out the 267 from the general fund
It's
revenue.
not on the revenues.
It is.
No, the estimated revenues are general fund, 1.8, fire fund.
Right, but we're not right, I agree with you, I've moved on from your,
Oh, okay.
I'm on to the next correction on the revenue. So we add the open space.
Yeah.
And then we reduce the general fund revenue by the $267,000 transfer. So the
Okay.
revenue will be,
You're on the expenditures.
no, I'm
No,
still on
she's
revenue.
Reduce
I
this
have to
number
get
by
out my
267.
calculator,
Oh, reduce this number by the
Yeah,
267.
because it's not an actual, it's not an actual.
because it's not revenue.
Right.
So I'm pulling out my calculator.
Yep.
So 1,844,545 minus 267,195 equals 1,577,350.
Can you say that one more time?
1,577,350.
Okay.
And then, because we're also doing a fire fund transfer, do we also need to reduce the fire fund revenue by 206
This is the actual fire fund revenue.
revenue? Okay.
Right here, yeah.
And then, and
same-
that,
Same with the police, and then we'll add, okay.
so we reduce general fund to 1,577,350, and we add the open space fund.
To 224,922.
Right. And then, on the general fund, now I'm moving down
Did you
to,
get that, Lois?
I think we're
I-
adding it as a.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
online.
Lois.
I was going to say.
Janice?
she is our secretary. So,
Karen,
Oh,
Yeah,
Karen, just to clarify too,
She's gonna change this, yeah, subject. I'm just gonna put that they discussed it and there were changes made.
okay.
just to clarify too, when we're talking about you keep saying the open space, you mean that we're adding that fund as a separate line item? We're not adding it to the general fund revenue?
right, we're adding a line to the revenue table that is Fund 245, Open Space Land Initiative Fund, with revenue of 222, or whatever was the amount that you
yeah,
told.
224,922.
Right.
Okay.
Then on the operating expenditures, general fund, operating expenditures, 1069, who's recording this?
I
'Cause
am.
I'm-
I got it.
So general fund expenditures, 1069,545.
Correct.
Okay.
Then the open space land initiative fund, operating expenditures, 80,000, right? Right, and then we add ARPA, and I don't know whether the ARPA is the ARPA all capital? expenses, and so the ARPA just gets added to the capital line, that would be,
Yes.
that is sewer expenses, broadband infrastructure, and,
I just want to, one other correction there too. We do need to change the fire fund estimated expenditures to the 1367830, which matches
Okay.
the new revenue plus the fund transfer.
okay, gotcha. So let's, for ease, why don't we just say that ARPA is all capital expenses? And so the total ARPA is 683,288.
That's not true.
Did you look at what I gave to you?
Yep, you're right, that's not right.
Right
right.
here, wouldn't it be 645,788,
That sounds.
31?
Yeah, that sounds
Because we
more
had a
like it.
$37,500 multi-lakes. It's the page that I gave.
But
to
I
you
shouldn't
a
have
second.
I jumped ahead to capital. So are we good on the operating expenses? So we got the general fund corrected, we got the fire fund corrected, the police fund doesn't need to be changed. The open space, we reduced to 80,000 operating expenses.
Have we added that up and come up with a new total on expenditures? So we have it all?
Yeah, so tell me, hit me, tell me. I know what 1069545 is the general fund. What,
1069545
and then,
plus 1367830
okay,
plus 685,500
plus 80,000.
Plus 80.
plus 80,000.
3202,875.
Right.
3202.
And what is this for?
This is our total operating expenses.
Oh, okay, right,
Instead of
okay.
this 397.
Okay.
So now the transfers, we're gonna, because we don't know whether the fund balance fund has a fund code, we're gonna assume that the fund code is 101, because we know we're operating in the general fund in terms of restrictions, fund restrictions, so let's just call it general fund, so 101. And we can, but let's keep it as fund balance for clarity's sake, and then we just make that number 267,195 a negative number,
Okay.
because it's a transfer out from the fund balance into general operating. And then the fire fund balance, 206,935, where's that coming from?
That's coming from the fire fund balance.
To, and that's coming from the fire fund balance to fire operating, so I think that should be a negative also, because it's a transfer out, so it's a negative 206,935.
Okay.
And then now we go down to capital expenses, general fund, that's good, fire fund is good, police fund good, open space is good, and we add in that blank space down below ARPA, which is Fund Code 285. And Michelle, what was the amount?
$645,788.31.
Okay, so, and we don't need the cents because we don't,
Okay.
we don't appropriate.
I had 144 to open space, but.
Yeah, I thought you revised open space.
144,000.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, yeah,
144,
you're right.
922.
Yeah,
922.
so open
Oh,
space,
yeah.
144,922, and then we add the ARPA funds. Everybody feel good?
Yeah,
Yes?
So what's that total? Are you doing the total?
all right.
I was checking this total here
Okay.
before I moved on.
This resolution was a can of worms.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Yeah, really.
We're not doing the cents, right?
No.
So that 855 goes 1,565,710.
Say that again?
1,565,710.
Thank you.
was that, what's that for? That's the total expenditures under
Under-
capital.
Okay.
Okay, now that we have numbers, should we make a motion?
Now we can make a
Let's make a
motion.
motion. As amended.
Okay, so,
This is not supposed to be here, right? This is okay.
so I'll make a motion to approve the General Appropriations Act as amended.
I'll second. Matt's?
We'll take a voice vote on this one, individual.
You need to state in your motion pending the amendments.
Yep,
You said,
I did say that.
as amended.
Yeah, that's okay. I just said quickly.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And Laura?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Thank you. That was hard work. Thank you. Okay. So here is,
Can I make a request that when the budget is all final and cleaned up, we each get a copy of it?
oh, yeah, we make, remember, we
Don't
make
we
the
all?
books and we all,
I don't know.
yeah.
You didn't get it last year?
I don't remember
Yeah.
getting a full copy.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, I don't think I
Actual
did.
budget.
There was
Yeah.
like actual pretty books made. I think,
Yeah.
didn't Kim make them?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
now we're making, now, this is a resolution to establish the salary of the township treasurer. We went back and forth at the other meeting, so I might have, so if the current salary is $38,254,000. So at 6%, the additional, the increase would be $2,295. That would make it, this number, instead of 42,000, it would be 40,549. And if it's a 10% increase, the increase would be 3,825, which would increase salary to 42,079. So I am,
So what is the 41,954? Where did that come from?
that was bad math.
Oh, got
Bad
it.
math.
All right,
So,
no worries.
Here's the current, this one has 10% on it. So now we have to decide on an amount. And,
Were you guys able to do any of the benchmarking? Were you able to do any of the benchmarking that we talked about?
we did not do that.
Okay, so you're starting from 38,254, is that what you said?
Yeah, 38,254.
So a
six.
10% increase for that would be to 42,079.
Yes.
254 times 1.06. And a 6% would be 40,549.
So on the new, the new version that was just passed out is also neither of those numbers.
I know.
Right,
that's what
so just look at the one I just passed out, and then we will, so now we have the number, so it's either 6% at 40,000, and 40,549, or 10% at 42,079.
I think if we're giving this, let's just go 6% for now, and then, because that's the CPI, we've got a justification for it, that's what we're giving the staff, and then if we want to advocate for a larger increase based on market, we can do that at our leisure.
Yep, I'm totally fine with that.
And that
So
would
would
bring
you-
you to 4549.
40,549. Okay.
40.
So would somebody like to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion for Resolution 23663 to increase the township treasurer to $40,549.
Second?
I'll second. No one has.
I can second that.
Okay.
Laura
I think it was
Laura
Diane calling
seconded.
for a second.
Okay. Lonnie?
Just discussion
Oh,
before
sorry,
we, I will support the 6%, but I also would support the 10. Would like to have seen the supporting documentation, but from what I've seen in general, I think the 10 is a little bit more in line, but I would like to have that information for sure to support it. So I guess I'm saying I'll support 6 today, but I would really like to still see that benchmark because I believe that the 10 is probably more in line with where we should be.
And I'll add to that I am happy to do a mid-year adjustment based on some benchmark data.
Are we ready to vote? Maris?
Well, can I ask a process question? If we're setting them all at the same level, do we have to do a separate?
Yes,
Voice vote for
We
each.
have to have a separate resolution for each one. So, Maris?
Yeah.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes. I think so.
And myself, yes.
It's not
Okay.
the ultimate conflict of interest.
Yeah, there you go. I think you can vote.
I mean, the
think-
trustees are asked to vote on theirs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. The next is a resolution to establish a salary for the township clerk.
Still weird.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjust the salary to 40549.
Someone like to second that?
Second. Metz?
Any more discussion? Okay, ready to vote? Michelle?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes. Did you call me?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Laura?
okay, I thought you said Karen.
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And the third resolution on this one is to establish a salary of the township supervisor at 40,549. Someone like to make a motion?
I move, we should probably be, these are resolutions, so we should probably be including the numbers in the motion, right? I move Dexter Township Resolution 23-665 to establish the salary of the township supervisor at
664, isn't it? Oh, no, never mind.
No,
665. To establish the salary of the township supervisor at $40,549.
Second, Metz?
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes. The next is the trustee salary. So I have to hand this one out because we had, with the 6% increase, it was $24,720 for everyone, but we have to break it down to each.
That is our current. If you go 24,720 divided by 4, divided by 12, is $515 a month. Isn't that what we get paid?
I think so.
Is it-
Pretty much. So that number's not right.
Yeah, the 6% increase on the budget we just passed is $25,657.
25,657, and then we have to divide that by 4.
By 4, yeah.
And then we just have one.
Even?
It's 6,414.25 for a year.
6,414.25.
Yeah,
6,414.25.
which is 534.52 payroll.
So,
So we're amending this to be 6,414.25?
yes. So, someone want to make a motion to approve Dexter Township Resolution 23-666, increasing the trustees in salary to $6,414.25 annually.
So moved.
I'll second. That Karen Sickinga.
Okay, any more discussion? Laura?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna exit. You guys can vote.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Where are you going, girl?
And should,
Well, I did put deputy clerk on here, so.
So I didn't know, so.
Yeah, I know you didn't know, yeah.
Mine doesn't,
Where are you going?
Mine doesn't have the deputy clerk on it.
Oh, here's the new one. Here's
Mine
the new
doesn't
one with the deputy clerk.
Thank you.
And this is the updated. So tear out the one you got and take this one.
Okay, thank you.
So we have to vote unanimously almost, right?
Oh, this one's for the.
Oh, sorry.
When there's five
Do you have-
present,
does Karen
do we
have one
still
over there?
need a vote of 4?
Okay, thank you.
They should be separate votes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know, but I mean, do we need 4 to carry a motion, or do we need 3 because there's only 5 of us here?
Why can't Michelle vote on Maris's and Maris vote on Michelle's?
Because it's a single, it's,
It's one resolution.
yeah. Oops, sorry. Check my math.
Is 15, can we discuss? Yeah. No. Is $15 an hour minimum wage at this point?
yes, it's
$10.10.
$10.10 an hour. I was going to propose like a monthly pay for the deputy clerk of $1,000, which I think would be pretty similar to this, so that we don't have to track the hours and then make it retroactive to August. Recommend that we pay retroactive to August for the deputy.
How many hours a week is that assuming?
Well, I don't think it matters then. If we make it a monthly pay, then
I don't know if that's true, Karen.
Well,
I didn't look into that.
yeah, remember we talked about, is it FLSA exempt?
Yeah, so we looked into other hours, I didn't like the idea of setting just 1,000 as a compensation.
A lump sum salary.
Yeah.
There is a limit in this resolution. It says up to 20 hours. So that might accomplish the same goal, Karen.
So that would be 15 times 20 times 52. That's $15,000 a year. So that's a little more than I had in mind, but
12,000 a year.
I don't think it's unreasonable. And again, I say we pay it retroactive to August. I know Karen doesn't like the idea, but
Well,
you
the
know.
only question is, how would we make it retroactive when we haven't kept track of hours?
I think we would just pay, so I would recommend that we make a lump sum payment to him of, $1,300 times, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months, so 7 times 1,300,
Hi, 1,300.
which would be $9,000. So we approve this $15 an hour up to 20, and then make a lump sum payment of $9,000.
That's $300 a week.
It's 9,100.
And I don't know
How many
if,
weeks are we talking?
if we should go into a closed session for a moment to talk about this.
I don't believe you can go into a closed session for this.
I want to ask you something.
I don't think you
Oh,
can.
okay.
Just ask.
I'm worried about litigation. I mean, we have somebody that's been working here since August, and I think if we approve a rate for this person, and they've been working, and I think it's a modest hourly rate, and it's a modest amount of money.
My general impression is, I agree with you in some regards, I do not agree on the $15. We're talking about hiring an opening receptionist for 18. We know we have a person that, I hate to say this, but is incompetent. We've spent thousands of dollars to correct work. I understand it's out of our control. I understand we need to do something, but I think the $15 is a good rate. No, I don't.
Okay.
How do you ask somebody to
Well,
say,
what would
okay,
be-
let's pay this
So
person
Karen,
minimum wage?
We'll get it
Okay.
separate.
so your alternative proposal is $10.10 an hour times 20 hours a week, times 52 weeks a year. That's $10,000 a year. What,
I'd go the $12,000 a year, but I can't, how do I justify paying somebody we know is not doing the job properly? To me, this is like, it's a little bit of
okay,
insanity.
so
Keep
that's
repeating.
$11.50 an hour. So why don't we set the pay then, if everybody agrees with Karen, or my basic concept of $1,000 a month, that would be $11.50 an hour. It's a little higher than minimum, it's $1.40 above minimum wage. It's below the starting salary for those benchmarks that I shared last week, which started at $14 an hour. So it's a little bit of a ding, but it's not wildly outside of what's reasonable for a deputy clerk. And then we pay retroactive. And that would be $1,000 a month, so it would be a $7,000 retroactive payment. And then it's gonna come out to $1,000 a month going forward, maximum. And then we take care of the issue and put it behind us. And let's not talk about it anymore.
I fully agree that we should put it behind us. I'm wondering about sort of a middle-of-the-road approach. I personally don't have a problem with $15 per hour. I think to me, it's about dignity. If you're working, I believe anyone doing a job deserves that type of pay. That's my own personal beliefs. So I'm wondering about a middle-of-the-road type of solution where, moving forward, we are setting a new budget. We have not spent additional money in the new budget for any additional contractors. If we
$30,000,
in the new,
yeah, for Kim
Well, for
Haynes.
Kim, yeah, but she's a bookkeeper.
yeah, I was gonna say I see that
It's
as
still contracted services for the clerk.
I would just say for me, I would support moving forward with the $15 per hour for 20 hours a week, but for the back pay, do it at minimum wage, knowing that that's where the issues were, and that we pay it back at minimum wage for the minimum number of hours. So it's kind of a middle-of-the-road proposal between the two.
And I would be comfortable with that also because Maris told me that there were times when Nick wasn't working very much. So we don't even have to say what the basis is retroactive. We can just say, we can just say,
Are we just saying $1,000 a month retroactive? Is that what you're proposing?
No, yet we can't do that.
Minimum wage if you're going retroactive.
yeah, and so we go,
We don't have an hour basis.
no, but we'll assume 20 hours a week.
But you just said that Maris said that he's not working 20 hours a week.
Yeah, but there were weeks that he worked a lot for the election, and I'm going to assume that we don't have tracking of the hours, so I'm going to assume that it comes out to an average of 20 hours a week.
So that's $200 a week.
And let's-
$800 a month.
What is minimum?
10.
And so if we're talking 7 months, did I say it was 7 months at 4, was it? So
It's really 8 months if it's August.
Times
wasn't it
20.
at the August meeting, though, that you voted so it was effective, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, so it's been 7 months since the decision was made. There's 4.4 weeks in a month, so times 7, times 20, times 10 is $6,220. So a retroactive payment of $6,220, and then going forward, $15 an hour, a maximum of 20 a week. And Karen, you don't have to vote for it.
I'm not. I cannot say that we should pay somebody almost the same rate we're gonna hire somebody in when we know there is not competence.
Right.
If we wanted to say $11.50, I can go for it. If competence comes up in working with Kim in 6 months, let's address it. But how do we justify to our residents paying somebody we know that the job is not being done? And that we're paying another $30,000
Because,
to help this position.
because the clerk has a statutory right
I
to
understand
appoint her
that.
deputy.
She has the total statutory right, but we also have the financial responsibility of that position. And so now we're saying we're gonna pay them more, and I just don't think the job's being done. In 6 months, if the job's being done, great, let's go to 15.
So I say,
What was,
why don't we,
what was the deputy clerk's salary before it was zeroed out?
25.
So 15 is not the same.
Yeah.
right,
I
and
think it sends a message.
no, and I say, let's make a motion. Karen, you can make a motion. Anybody can make a motion, and we can vote on it and see, because I think we all understand each other's perspectives. And I don't want to be here all night going over the same ground.
And I want to say, I agree. I just think that, unfortunately, and this is the way that local government works, the way to solve that problem is that the voters have to know the issue. And If they don't like it, they select a different clerk. But
Right.
our, we don't have a lot of room. We
So-
can't force her to pick a different deputy.
Right. But what if we say, okay, what should be, the total deputy pay should be how much per year? At $25 an hour times, what is it, 2,020 hours? No, that's, no, they don't work that many hours. They work how many hours?
24 a week.
Times 24, times 52, it's 31.2.
Karen, you can't make it right that way, because a lot of
No,
deputy
I'm
clerk.
not saying I'm making it right, but I'm saying we're paying
But-
$30,000 over here for a $30,000 position.
Yeah, but a
and
lot
now
of
we're gonna pay
deputy,
him
but,
$50,000.
but it's not a foregone conclusion that bookkeeping is the responsibility of the deputy clerk. That's the way it's been handled historically in Dexter Township, but it's not, but it doesn't have to be that way. So there's nothing inappropriate about having a qualified bookkeeper. And,
I'm not saying
yeah.
there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, I just can't agree to paying for somebody I know that can't do the job.
I know, I understand.
I
It's
get it.
painful. It's
I'll just
painful.
hope no.
Well, we're not separating that one out, so we have to, if you want to look at the other, let's look at the other positions, make sure it's in line with what we talked about. We're moving the office manager to executive administrator from $25 an hour to $62,000 annually, and with a $200 in lieu of benefits and 6% of salary towards MERS.
I thought we were keeping all MERS at 4%. Can we do separate, isn't MERS all 1% across the board?
Yeah.
It does, it isn't, it just depends on,
I think it was supposed to.
but we can change that back to 4%.
Yeah, I think we
4%
were
for
gonna
everybody.
we were gonna leave it until we
Okay.
develop our comp policy.
Yeah, it's part of what I was looking into.
Yeah.
And she'll have a lump sum of $1,000, and she has, that's about the total she would have received into her MERS account if she had started when she first came in September. So anybody,
Why
so-
didn't she start the,
she was, she was concerned about, she took a huge, I mean, her salary went down. She left her job before she came here, but she took a significant loss in pay, and so she wanted to make sure that her finances were in place before, because once you start MERS, you also have to contribute, and she wanted to know what her finances were, so.
okay, so I'll make a motion to approve Dexter Township Resolution 23666.
Are we walking through the other people, or are we okay with all the others?
So, ordinance officer,
It's 6-7. 6-6-7.
667.
I mean,
Does
Do we
anybody have any? Ordinance officer, any questions on the ordinance officer? Or changes they'd like to see
No, we
made?
kept, we don't have, to. no.
I mean, there's an extra period in there.
We'll change that. Deputy treasurer, 6% from $29 an hour to $30.74 an hour. Recording secretary from $25 an hour to $26.50 an hour at 6%, and we add a PTO for her. Deputy clerk, so right now, in this, we're saying $15 an hour, up to 20 hours a week, with a retro payment of $6,220 plus PTO. And then for the director of planning and zoning, a 6% increase, same 4% contribution to retirement, and reimburse for cost of health insurance premium up to 15% of annual salary.
I thought we had that set at a $7.75 last month. Like it was a set dollar figure last month, wasn't it?
Well, we put it to a percentage in case there's fluctuation before we get a health insurance policy. And that's how it was always written before. I think we had it at a percent, we did have it at a percentage last year.
And you have there's a contract that specifies that, right?
It says up to percentage, but that, if we don't set an amount, which I understand, don't we have to set an amount and say it's up because 15% of salary is almost $1,100 a month, where I thought last month it was proposed $775 a month?
Well, it will be the amount that is being billed on COBRA. So up and not to exceed 15% of annual salary.
Yeah, traditionally, they set it as a percentage because our benefit years don't always line up with fiscal years of the township.
Okay.
And they're 3 months off, so my health insurance will go up while we're still in this budget, exactly.
What are you right now? Are you at the 775
Yeah,
now?
yeah, so, and traditionally, they just set it as a percentage of people's salaries because health plans change or they fluctuate throughout the year.
Fair
So,
enough. Do you know when you lose your COBRA?
Year from this month.
David's working on a
That's what
policy.
we
You know, we remember we talked about, Karen, we talked about setting a policy for health insurance. and
Right.
David's working on it. Okay. Okay, so can I make a motion to approve Dexter Township Resolution Number 23667 for merit increases to set salaries, hourly wages, mileage reimbursement, and other compensation for township employees?
With the amendment. As amended.
Which, as amended, and the amendment is to reduce the office manager's contribution toward MERS from 6% to 4%.
But that's,
And the deputy clerk.
And we're staying at the 15.
Oh, and to add the deputy clerk retroactive payment of
$6,220.
$6,220.
And we're going to keep it at 15.
That's what I'm
Okay.
proposing, and you can,
I can second that amendment,
Okay. Let's take a
or
vote.
second that motion with the amendment.
I just want to clarify, the MERS contribution is changed to 4% for all of them, correct?
Yes.
Right.
yeah,
It is.
but
Not just-
she was the only one that was at 6%. The rest are at 4%.
Oh, I'm crossing, I was, 6% was
Yeah,
the increase.
I know. it's
Never
a
mind.
thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a CP's cost, cost money.
Okay.
I
Laura?
just was crossing it out.
Yes.
That was-
Karen?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
No.
And myself, yes. Okay, motion. Dexter Township Resolution 23667 passes.
Let's never talk and speak of this again.
Yeah, this is one dead issue. So don't-
Okay, the next item on our agenda is authorization of payments. And Maris will be right in.
Should we tell them the decision when they return?
We can. You're fired.
You voted on your own thing. What are you talking about?
So let's tell them the decision.
So we passed the resolution with the following changes for executive administrator. We reduced her MERS benefit to a 4% township contribution. And for deputy clerk, we are adding a retro payment of $6,220 effective immediately and at the $15 an hour as it was written here, if you want to look at that. Okay? Everything else is the same. It's time for authorization of payments. Who goes?
I guess that's me, right? You. Sorry, I'm fading.
Yeah.
Takes a break and forgets what she does.
I ate too much chocolate, now I'm like buzzed. Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion, please, for the payments from the general fund of $26,108.44. The police fund, $45,121.43. Fire fund, $97,654.91. OSLP fund, $1,317.74. Payroll, what? Oh, the ARPA fund, $37,500. General agency fund, $990 even. Payroll, $33,368.63, and that is going to give us a grand total, including payroll, of $242,061.15.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
I thought for the Monier property, we approved $1,800, but this is only $630. Is that something else? Didn't we approve $1,800 last month?
Yes.
But that's not what we're paying?
Is that for,
Where are we?
I think
sorry,
open space 245. I was just wondering why it was lower than the 1,800. I guess maybe that's not the survey. Could be.
it probably isn't, that is probably.
Has it been billed yet?
Tremor? I'm looking
No,
for it.
Tremor is $687, but Miller, Canfield, Padlock, Stoneham says, oh, is that attorneys? That's
Yes.
attorneys for Monday, that's not the Monday
Yeah.
property, it's the attorney.
Right.
Never mind, thank you.
So the general fund expenses total about $60,000, and that's 20 payroll plus 26,000 in non-payroll. It just seems low, you know?
We've been busy, we haven't spent
That's
any.
4 and then
It does seem low.
I mean, if our annual operating, general fund annual operating expenses are whatever we said they were, 1.2 million or something, then our monthly expenses should be closer to $100,000. So we're missing, like, where's that $40,000? How come I'm just asking, why are the general fund expenses? Like, if our operating expenses are like 1.2 million a year, why is this month's total general fund 60,000? Seems like there's stuff missing.
Are you talking about from my report or from the general ledger?
Just talking in general.
Yeah,
Why
the
are our bills so low this
26,000
month?
plus the,
Our bills should run around $100,000
I
a
don't-
month,
Yeah.
but they're only $26,000 in bill plus $33,000.
I think you
in
could,
payroll.
we have been, I mean, this is more average. I think a lot of our bill runs have been like substantial because of like missed payments, or, yeah, we've had to pay the fire fund twice. So that was actually abnormal, what you guys were seeing for several months, that we were paying.
Maybe, what's our operating this year? I mean, we're thinking of what we're doing next year, and we know we're going up next year, so
yeah, that's true.
this is like closing out our previous budget. So we probably shouldn't expect it to be that high. Next year at this time, it should be 100,000, roughly.
Although we didn't really increase our operating expenses.
Not
did we?
really.
But- Okay, I was just curious.
I move the authorization of payments.
Dennis already did.
Oh, second.
Any more discussion? Michelle?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Monty?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Karen Sakanga?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
And myself, yes. What's the next item? Where did I put my agenda? Are we ready?
Well,
See your agenda, do you?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what I'm supposed to do. Next call for public comment. Anything else you would like to share with the board? Come on up.
Lois, make sure that green light is on. It times out and shuts off. Just pull it out and turn it around for you to see the button.
Lois Beerbaum, 9897 Fleming. I just wanted to comment on the senior center. From what I heard at the Dexter Forum last Saturday, because both Mr. Smith was there and one of the other board members, I think it was Ann, I got the idea that the wellness center is something they're looking at. And if the grant doesn't come through, we're still in a difficult position. And if I look at the wellness center myself, I have to think of, having moved from Canton, we had the Summit. That was a multi-recreational facility. And the senior center had a room and then took advantage of the swimming pool and the exercise programs designed for them. It also had meeting rooms. And this becomes important when you have some kind of presentation like we do now at the senior center, which is not good in a lot of ways because you can't really separate it. So that's just a thought process in doing this. It's not just exercise for the seniors. You got a lot of other services you got to provide for them. When you were talking about the deputy clerk, I wanted to clarify, you mentioned $30,000 a year for the bookkeeper.
30,000, yeah.
Okay, and then it's not the same person then who's going to be deputy clerk? Okay.
It's a contracted service that we have for 30,000. We're budgeting $30,000 for a contracted service.
Okay, so when the deputy clerk is here, does he or she take care of the elections only, or does anything?
It's not our discretion.
Well, we're not doing a question.
Oh, yeah, we should do it, questions and answers. I forgot what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is just
I was
public.
thinking this was chat out.
I was just curious what that job would be for the election part. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other issues? Anybody else for public comment?
I would like to say something.
Okay, come on up.
Alicia Abbott, 10833 North Territorial. I really appreciate you taking care of the deputy clerk situation. As a taxpayer, it's bothered me that it comes up every month. $15 an hour is not a lot of money. I just want you to, I believe everyone has value, and I don't think that one area where mistakes were made cancels out everything that a person does within their job there. So I appreciate that you took care of this, but you might revisit that pay structure.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any final issues from staff?
Are we
Board
on
members? Yeah, final.
future agenda items yet? No, okay.
Well, this is final, other issues from
Okay.
board or staff, so.
Oh, from staff.
David? Janice?
No.
Karen? Laura?
So even though I didn't have time to research it, I saw that monarch preservation come across our email, and I think we should pursue that as a township, is the preservation of monarchs. And it requires the supervisor or the mayor or of a town to do something, to make some commitment. But it has to be researched.
Yeah, I felt that was an open space, like you guys, your committee should look at it, because a lot of the to-do items would fall to you guys. It's a commitment to preserving open space and things like that. You're supposed to commit to 9 action items, and I think they would pretty much mostly fall to you guys.
Okay, well, I'll I'll take a look at it and have, and see. But did anybody else see that? It came across our email.
I don't think I got that.
Feels to me like, we should be a pro-monarch.
Who did it come from?
Yeah, Dexter Township.
Laura, who did it come from?
I don't know.
Well, it came from the
Seriously, is it? I don't know.
Somebody like that.
It comes from the National Wildlife Federation, and they have a wildlife, so, you can get your property certified, and this is like now they're trying to get mayors and supervisors and
Yeah,
local.
because they're seriously endangered.
So, but what does that mean then? You're like putting plants that they like and whatever on the property, and how does that work?
I don't know. That's what
Oh.
I'm saying. I do not have time right now to research it, so.
Well, I'll look at, if I have time, I'll
Would
look
you?
into it. yeah.
Okay, that
So
would
let me
be
write this
lovely, and
down.
I'll talk with you about it, but I think I
Okay.
can, I can barely keep up with.
Laura, can you forward that email to me,
Yeah.
please?
Well, and Diane, actually, you went past me a little quick. I was thinking, and I actually want to raise. So you sent us all a letter and told me before the meeting that you said in your email you were going to read that today, and then before the meeting you said you're not going to read it because the meeting has a full agenda. But this actually was not an especially long meeting, and I guess I'm uncomfortable with that because I feel like then I have knowledge that's really public information, and we all do because it went to all the trustees. And I think that letter, I'm not going to say what the content of the letter is, but I would encourage you to go ahead and read it because you've already announced it to the trustees, and so you've given us information that is going to be uncomfortable not to be known to the general public.
Okay.
I agree.
I'll go get the letter.
I'm saving a stamp.
I appreciate that. In fact, I don't even need this, you know, the annual one is fine for me.
They send it to me anyway, unless you want me to shred it.
What is it?
For paychecks.
Paychecks?
I'm saving a stamp. They send it.
Oh.
It's not, I mean, it's just your thing, it hasn't been,
Oh, it's our,
I haven't,
stop.
I haven't done anything early.
Shred these.
Well, it's funny. So we used to have paychecks, and they wanted us to pay more for them to stop mailing them to us.
Oh, you're kidding.
To go digital. So I switched companies. Well, they are, but to stop mailing the packets,
You wouldn't know
Yeah.
what I was talking
I
about.
had to pay more. So I switched companies. It's like, I don't
Something's annoying me.
Not in my husband's toes.
I like
Things annoy me, Alex.
I like your bottle, Alex. I was,
It's pretty small this time.
yeah.
Oh, were you just in line there?
It looked like it was changing
Oh,
colors.
that's just,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Wait, let me cry. You're losing your bottle in Hawaii. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't see that it said Hawaii on it, but we leave Saturday. We are going to the Big Island for a little, like that's where the resort is, and then my son is a huge history lover, so we're flying to Honolulu to go to Pearl Harbor. A week for spring break.
That's a trip. How old are your kids?
My son's 13, my daughter's 9.
That's a good age to go. Yeah. Yeah, they'll remember everything.
I hope so.
But I would,
She's not rushing back.
when I used to live in California, like when you live, I lived in California. When you live in California, you hop to Hawaii, and people here hop to Florida, because it's 5 hours. Yeah. 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 We used to go
We're
to
stopping.
Maui.
We're stopping in LA for a night
Oh, for a night?
to break up. Yeah, we get in like super late Saturday night, and then early Sunday we fly out. So we are gonna decompress in a hotel before the 10-hour.
That breaks, that'd be nice for the kids.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
long. Flight from here. Yeah, yeah, it was great.
This is to the Board of Trustees and to Dexter Township community. This letter is to inform you that I've decided to step down from my elected position as Dexter Township Supervisor as of May 12, 2023. It was a hard decision, and I want to thank you for the faith that you've had in me since November 2020. The demand on our township has grown exponentially, and its rural character is being threatened. We must learn to coexist and grow with growth while we protect our quality of life. The supervisor position is a highly responsible and critical position that directly impacts the future of Dexter Township. To truly fulfill this role, responding to the current day issues and to protect our resources for the future is no small task. I've served Dexter Township diligently, and as the demands of the position grow, it has put a significant strain on my personal finances. The position is currently considered a part-time role, and the salary is still based accordingly, while the realities of the job demand more. With all this in mind, I do not want my personal limitations to result in Dexter Township being underserved on critical projects that so dearly impact our community. My hope is that a new supervisor will be able to serve Dexter Township without personal financial pressure, allowing them to dedicate the full-time attention that is needed to run our township. I thank you for your support. I wasn't ready to do that tonight. And I don't think it was fair of you when I made a decision to not respect that, but because it also would give time for, you know, I said I wanted to wait till May 12th so there could be some transition and we could talk about what, you know, would be the best way to have this happen. And I have no information about that because, so, anyway, I will be stepping down as of May 12th.
Guess there's a lot to talk about, huh? I personally think it probably needed to come public, and thanks for giving the transition time, Diane, I totally appreciate that, but obviously we have a lot of discussion to have to make the transition.
And I know you weren't comfortable sharing it tonight, and I appreciate that you did it. I think,
Well, I would appreciate getting called out. Can we just move on? I made my announcement, let's just move on.
We need to continue on number 13, concerns of the board.
Concern to the board, Michelle?
I think we did that.
Are you done? I don't think we got to
Are we
everybody.
saying that there can be no discussion then?
I don't really want to discuss it now at 8:45. And know what, I'm stepping down. That's,
Respect that.
And when someone makes a choice to step down, do they have time to recant? I'm just curious. Like the 3 days? Okay. I'm just wondering, it was a big eye-opener. Nervous. We're an office that has definitely had quite a rocky road lately, but all in all, we have worked very hard to learn our respective positions, so just makes me nervous, that's all.
so that
Larry?
gives
I'm
us,
just, no, I'm just
I mean, we're
saying.
just going, everybody's getting their turn.
I feel
Lonnie,
like
do
I-
you-
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think I mean, I can have my comments in private, it's fine. I support Diane, and she has to do what's best for her, and, I don't blame her at all, it's just, it's a hard job, and it's sometimes not what you expect, and, I know for me, it's been challenging, but I respect Diane's decision, and I just want what's best for her, and I think, this last year, I've very much enjoyed working with you. We have worked together quite a bit, and I really enjoy it, and I miss that. Okay. Go ahead, Lonnie.
I want to be respectful of your request to not go into full discussion tonight, so I just want to say thank you, and that, the board has done a lot of great things, and I hope that you as well are proud of all of those things. I did want to mention as well, and although it seems like not at all the right time, currently I wanted to thank Lois for coming out to our first ever coffee hour this past weekend, and to announce that we will continue those. The goal is to alternate times and dates so that if people can't attend on a certain day or time, that they'll have the opportunity to attend. So we'll announce April's date soon, probably first in the loop, and then we'll get more information out.
Pick a date. Oh, I think I already said my piece.
Yeah, I just want to say, Diane, that I respect your decision as well. And I also respect that you don't want to really go into it. But I thank you for telling us it publicly. Because it does feel like now we're not going to be like about it. We can think about it, we can talk about it, we can ask other people their opinions, and it does feel more transparent. So I thank you for that.
and I concur. I appreciate that. And also, thank you for your service, and
Yeah.
I do feel very proud of what this board has accomplished over the last couple of years.
It's been rocky, but we got a lot done.
We really did.
And I also think we're going to be okay. I understand Michelle's feeling of nervousness, but I think we're going to be okay, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we can all talk about the nervousness,
But you could, yeah.
how we go
Right.
forward. I think that's important, that we're all going to be able to talk out our issues.
So that's just one more meeting, because May 12th is before so next meeting will be the last.
Okay, so
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I don't even remember, so, Nolte? Did you support? Do you leave? Okay. Motion, support,
Is it fossil? Do you know? Is it fossil? No. Fossil. I had a fossil bag and they have those cool colors and those fruits. Really nice. Nice. I'm a TJ Maxx fan. That's my go-to place. Turn this on. It would have been hard to not forget that. Wait 2 minutes. She's probably ambivalent, you know. But why send it if she didn't